Here we go. It's time for another edition of the Sports Rush Sunday edition, our live edition. I am Brett Rump. He is Adam Lundy, and we are ready to talk local sports. We've got a lot of things to cover. In fact, today we're going to be talking about the Colts Draft. We've got to talk about the TinCaps, the Komets, IHSAA news, because there's a couple of big votes coming up with the IHSAA that could impact our high school sports and high school athletes, and we'll talk about that. And maybe find out, I don't know, something about Adam Lundy. Who knows? What's up, my man?
Hey, good afternoon. Happy to be here on the Sports Rush with you, ready to talk about whatever you want to get into first. Like you said, there's a lot of topics. Just been watching a little bit of the NBA playoffs this afternoon, not getting up to a whole lot of anything. But right now, the current game is a blowout. So,
Well,
happy to
you
come on and
needed
talk to you.
that much needed win again for the New York Knicks, so they got things even against hot Atlanta, and now it goes back to Madison Square Garden for Game 5.
Yeah, wasn't sure if we were going to get right into the dire straits that my Knicks were in, down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks, who I've contended are easily the hottest lower seed in the Eastern Conference coming into the playoffs. They were on a very good streak coming into the playoffs. The rest of the lower seeds, although now a lot of the lower seeds in the East are putting up a good fight, so a little bit of contention there in the East.
TinCaps wrapped up their series against Wisconsin, and I think they'll be fine if it's a while before Wisconsin comes calling on Fort Wayne again, as the TinCaps dropped 5 out of the 6 against Wisconsin, and the bats for the Timber Rattlers were unbelievable. I mean, they just the one game where the TinCaps Jamie Hitt got a great pitching performance, but other than that, it was all about the Timber Rattlers offense. They take 5 of 6 at Parkview Field. Not a good week, and then an odd event on Wednesday night. It was one of those nights where you saw the unexpected, which was an emergency medical situation taking place in the dugout with one of the players. It was not a coach, but there was something that was very serious because everybody was responding. You had the training staffs for both teams running to the end of the dugout. We could not see what was going on from up in the broadcast booth. You had the first aid team that's up on the concourse. They came running down to the dugout. And then, of course, eventually we had the ambulance on the field. And we did find out later, Luis Pena, the star player for Wisconsin, one of the highest rated prospects in the Milwaukee Brewers system, that apparently he was affected by the heat, which there wasn't a lot of heat, but it was heat-related illness that caused him to pass out. And, you heard other stories, blood pressure dropped or other symptoms that were going on. But apparently he had collapsed and passed out in the dugout. And he was taken by ambulance to a local hospital where he received IVs. And by 4 a.m., he was in good enough condition to return to the team hotel. But that is a situation. I've had ambulances that have had to report for athletes during the course of an athletic event, but generally it's because of a serious injury where you see what happens. Somebody gets hit in the leg and you know that they've broken their leg and maybe even multiple fractures, and you just don't want to move them or whatever the case may be. In this case, nobody really knew, and it was not something that had happened on the field. It happened just randomly in the bottom of the 8th inning. Really scary situation, and it's one of those that's very tough to describe because you know there's a very serious thing happening at the stadium. You don't want to overstate it, you don't want to understate it, and yet you have no facts. You don't know what it is, who it is, nothing. I mean, it was just a scary situation to be given the responsibility, because it was my one night so far this year that I've done radio, which means you really do have to describe what you're seeing. And we couldn't see much other than an ambulance on the field. So a really crazy situation. happening on Wednesday night. You were on the other end of it, back in the studio pushing buttons, and we're trying to play it by ear with you, not really sure, what's the protocol here. Do you say, well, the paramedics have now entered the dugout? And, we were looking for guidance. We were asking Jaden what he wanted us to do. We're like, hey, look, we don't really know because there's not a book on this, so you kind of tell us what you would prefer we do. And at that point, he kind of figured less is more, and don't try to speculate on things that we really have no evidence of. And that's, of course, what you naturally do, is you start to speculate on what it could be, and you try to put the puzzle together. But we seriously had no idea who the player was, how serious it was, what had caused it. Nothing at that point. Really strange.
Yeah, super strange. And like you said, I was back in the studio, so I mean, I was even more in the dark as to what was going on than everybody at the ballpark, because I couldn't see 1 square inch of Parkview Field if I wanted to. But it was a scary situation. We ended up mostly just giving a couple brief updates and playing a lot of commercial breaks until it was decided that the game would be called. Speaking to TinCaps team president Mike Nutter, hanging out with DC yesterday, he said he was very happy with the response from all of the medical team, from the first aid team, able to get down to the dugout quickly, and then the plan to get the ambulance onto the field worked very well from the left field entrance there. So very happy with the response, and very happy that Luis Pena is okay. I think Brewers fans should be focused on the positive, which is that they have a very good, bright future as far as hitting is concerned, coming up to Brewers Field there in Milwaukee very soon, it looks like.
That team is loaded with prospects.
No kidding.
I mean, how many home runs they end up hitting in this series?
Oh, my goodness.
11, 12?
Definitely over 10. Definitely over 10.
I think they added 2 or 3 more today. I wasn't even at the ballpark, and I think they had 2 or 3 more home runs. I went 0 for 4 on the broadcast this week. I was scheduled off Saturday and Sunday, and I thought, as bad as I was, I better just stay away. So I thought, I'll let somebody else's mojo take responsibility for the weekend. And then after all of a sudden we stopped their offense the day I didn't go on Saturday, I thought, well, I'm sure as heck not going on Sunday then, because I've been giving up, the broadcaster is always the one that's responsible. I've been giving up like 8-9 runs a night. So I figured, a 2-1 win, I'd better stay the heck away. And it kind of got back to what I'd been seeing all week long. But yeah, Milwaukee, they're really good. I mean, they've got 9 of the top 30 prospects. 7 of them were the top 7 hitters in the lineup when they started the series. Of course, we mentioned Luis Pena, who never did return to play anymore during the series, but they still had like 6 of the top prospects. And Braylon Payne, their leadoff man, I mean, man, he hit over 500 for the week, and he just hit, 3 homers, 4 homers? He was just unbelievable. So really good week for Wisconsin, and an equally poor week for the TinCaps. And that, the real story of the week came on Friday night when the TinCaps were down. They were down big. They got themselves back within a run. It was 8-2 at one point. They got back to 8-7. 3-run homer from Carlos Rodriguez got them right back in the game in the late innings. And they go to the 9th inning down by a run. They give up a run in the top of the 9th, so it's 9-7, bottom of the 9th. And the first 3 guys walk. And so, and the pitcher, I don't know if he was ever going to not walk a batter. But here was the strangeness of the situation as it played out. You've got nobody warming up. This guy gets sent out there with a 2-run lead, and it looks like it's his game to win or lose. And he couldn't throw strikes. He walked the leadoff man, walked the second man, walked the third man, and he was, 2-0 or something on the next guy. All of a sudden, you've got the trainer not the manager, not the pitching coach, the trainer for Wisconsin coming out on the field, checking on the pitcher. And it's almost like, we've got to figure out what's wrong with you. I mean, that's the way you felt because of the situation. And it's very fair to feel this way. I mean, we're not saying, oh, they're a bunch of cheaters. But when you have a guy that can't throw strikes, about to lose the game by walking in runs, having the trainer come out at that moment just seems a little questionable, especially when the pitcher isn't showing any sign of being bothered by something. Didn't show any sign of being bothered by legs, arms, elbow, nothing. He just couldn't throw strikes. And it's not like this guy has been a great control pitcher during the season. He walked more than one inning coming into this performance. So, so they come out, they check him out, and eventually they kill a couple of minutes while a guy gets up and starts throwing down at the bullpen. They let him throw one pitch. Looked normal. Didn't look like he was hurting, but it was another ball. And what happens? Oh, that's it. Here comes the trainer. They've got to take him out of the game. And so the new reliever gets as much time as they want to warm up. And then what happens? The TinCaps have hitters 2, 3, and 4 coming up to the plate. The heart of their lineup. Bases loaded, nobody out, down by 2. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. Game over.
Yeah.
Kind of sums up the whole series, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was a tough way to end a thirsty Thursday. I think that was the Thursday game, and then it was just, you get this.
Was that Thursday? I was thinking that was Friday, but it might have been Thursday.
No, it was definitely the hyped up Thirsty Thursday crowd. So, I mean, they went home unhappy after having that chance there in the bottom of the 9th with the bases loaded. That was, I mean, you got to say they had their chance, but weren't able to do it. But yeah, definitely a weird situation with that pitcher and the replacement with the trainer and everything. Yeah, they lost 11-3 on Friday. So a little bit better of a chance on that Thursday night. Hey, good to not be swept. We'll take the not swept award from the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers.
Yeah, managed to get one out of the week. All right, let's talk about what was the storyline of the week, and that's the NFL Draft. And after all is said and done, the dust settles, and I look at what the Colts haul has been from this draft, I'm like, okay, not excited, not too completely disappointed.
I was going to say, you're not unhappy necessarily.
No, I'm not complaining, oh, they should have done this or they should have done that, but not having a first-round pick, there's not a marquee name, really. I mean, C.J. Allen, pretty good player that's probably going to be forced to step in and maybe even start as a rookie, taken in the second round. But other than that, a lot of names that are a lot of blah to me. I just... you see faults in every one of these. That's why they have fallen to 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. And I just don't know that the Colts got better in the last 3 or 4 days. Since, clearly they didn't get better on Thursday night because they never made a pick in the first round. They traded all those away for Sauce Gardner. But the C.J. Allen pick was their first pick. Hey, who called it?
You did call it.
I did call it. I had 2 names that I was keeping an eye on. And I'll be honest, C.J. Allen, I wasn't sure would fall to them. But the way the board worked out, they were able to do one. I told you, what did I say? I said, Chris Ballard's going to trade down a handful of spots to get an extra pick. Because you're in the middle of the second round. Picking 47th or 54th isn't going to be that big a difference. And you might get the guy you want anyway, and you'll get an extra pick out of it. I said Chris Ballard was going to make a trade and slide a few spots, but he wasn't going to slide very much because he had too many important needs to take care of. But the temptation was going to be there. And he took the bait, he made the move, and probably still got a guy that they had coveted for that position in the draft. C.J. Allen out of Georgia, an to me, not a big guy, not a super fast guy, a guy that's just going to, handle the technique well, knows the position, football player, can probably run the defense. But, I don't look at him and see Pro Bowler type player. His comp was Zaire Franklin, and I think basically the Colts got another Zaire Franklin, but they got a younger version of him. And so I'm okay with it because that's the position you had to replace. But I'm not like, oh, this is a definite upgrade. We'll wait and see. I was ready to move on from Franklin, but I don't know that they upgraded at the position in that process.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to feel like they got better when they're basically just drafting a replacement for a player that they just lost. I mean, it just feels like you're right around at the same place at the position, maybe a little bit worse because of the inexperience. I mean, there might be more potential there now at the linebacker position, but yeah, it just kind of seems like they're about the same. They didn't get better from their draft pick. You know what I mean?
Then round 3, the Colts take care of their safety need, losing Nick Cross to Washington. They had to find somebody that could play in the back line, and IHSAA is the guy out of LSU. I think he was probably the best pick on the board if you were going to go safety with that second pick of the night. 5'11", 215-pounder. I think, and he's not Bob Sanders, but he's more Bob Sanders type than he is Nick Cross. And so, he's probably going to be a guy that is better coming up in run support than he is truly in pass coverage, somewhat limited on his pass coverage skills. He's probably going to have to play zone, and he's better as according to the draft scouts, he is better in the box than he is over the top deep coverage. So, again, the end result, is it a B minus, C plus pick? I mean, like I said, one of the things is you look for value in the pick, and I think they got about as much value as they could. But again, it's a third rounder. I don't have hopes that this guy's going to be a game changer and he's going to come out and make things happen and be a guy that forces fumbles or recovers fumbles or intercepts balls. I just don't know where he changes the game. He just fills a need. That's all I see out of IHSAA.
Yeah, decent ball skills, decent job at tracking the quarterback and where he might be throwing the ball on a play. But yeah, I think it's just a little bit of physicality too to the secondary. But it's just like I said with the linebacker pick, it's just filling another position of need that they lost from last season. So it kind of just feels like you're getting your lineup back to where it was last season, or attempting to do so. It doesn't again feel like an improvement to what you already had.
Then you get to the offensive line. Here's what I have learned about the NFL and offensive linemen. If you're an elite offensive lineman, especially a left tackle or truly elite at your position, the elite guys are probably going to find their way into the first round, maybe early second. And then there's a whole pack of pretty decent offensive linemen that'll be picked up in the 4th and 5th round. And that's what the Colts did in the 4th round, taking Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky, an offensive guard, started his career with the Florida Gators and then transferred within the SEC to Kentucky, 6'5", 312, so he's got plenty of size. But again, very average evaluations on him. It's, you're certainly not getting insurance for Quentin Nelson. And so, did the Colts get better? No. Did they, pick up a guy that might be able to give them a little depth? Yes. But if there's an injury, I think the Colts are going to take a hit if they expect Jalen Farmer to come in and be ready to go. I'm not sure he's there yet. He has started quite a few college games. He has played in the SEC. But, I think he's going to have to learn some skills to make him a little bit better in pass protection and some, and being able to hold blocks and all of that. So, I think it's fine taking an offensive lineman in those middle rounds, but most of them, because they're offensive linemen, they're not going to wow you. We don't talk about, I mean, during the course of the college football season, we're not saying, did you see that game and see that incredible offensive guard for Kentucky? No, we don't pay attention to those guys. And so they never wow us when they are announced at the draft. And so I don't think we're going to be wowed, and unless we see something statistically or something they did at the combine that really made them separate, this is one of those picks where it's an emotionless pick. You don't get upset. You don't get excited.
Yeah, it's like you said, the players that can truly bolster an offensive line and really change the way an offense operates, they're going to be taken in the first or second round. These sort of linemen, third, fourth, fifth round, they're bolstering. They're not improving an offensive line. They're adding another brick to the wall, to quote Pink Floyd, I guess. But yeah, it's just not very exciting, and it's like, okay, cool. You bolstered your offensive line slightly with a decent college player, but yeah, it's not going to grab any headlines. No question about that.
Okay, so highlighting a couple of players. C.J. Allen is a guy that I hope he ends up being better than what I expect him to be, because if the Colts are going to improve, he's going to need to be better than what I probably expect. At the end of the draft, I think they got a tremendous value pick. And in the middle of the draft, they pick up in the fourth round with their second fourth-round pick, Bryce Betcher, linebacker of Oregon. And obviously, he's going to be a guy, he wants to hit somebody. I mean, that's the best way to describe him. He's out looking for somebody he can hit. Now, can he chase guys down? That might be a question mark. But he wants to hit somebody. And so I see a guy like him with that type of mindset and attitude. It's like, man, that's got special teams written all over it. Let him go out there and just run around and find somebody to just knock heads with. But is he ready to play linebacker in the NFL right from the get-go? Probably not. But again, area of need for the Colts, and so they go with Bryce Betcher. This is one of those where I would rate an above-average pick because of the multiple ways he could help. But again, I think the Colts are addressing need over talent. They're getting kind of the best available, or the guy that they think fits their system at a certain position, rather than going out and finding the very best player for the future. And so that's why I think they ended up with Bryce Betcher. Yeah,
I mean, it's another one where I could just say the same thing I've been saying about all these picks. It's uninspiring. It's just position of need for each pick. I'm not mad at the pick, like you said. I think there could be potential there, especially on special teams. But ceiling as a defender, it might be a little bit, role specific. He's just got a little bit of his size is a little small. He's not, the exact size I'd like to be. Might not be able to stack those blocks up like you might want a linebacker to.
Okay, so do you know the definition of insanity?
Yes, it's Brett Rump. No.
Yeah, that's what my wife would tell you. Yes. You're onto something.
It's expecting different results.
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. That's basically Chris Ballard and trying to find an edge rusher. He came out during the draft, and one thing he said after after the first night, second night, whatever, he said there's a lot of guys that are going to be day 3 picks that we think are real value at that edge rusher, and could be guys that could have an impact, and they're going to be there on day 3. Well, he gave it his best, PR statement. I'm not buying that the Colts all of a sudden found an edge rusher when Ballard has spent 9 years trying to find one and still hasn't. 8 years, 9 years. I'm not convinced that George Gums, whoever, 6'4", 245 out of Georgia, or Caden Curry. Now, I'll be honest, I'm higher on Caden Curry in the 6th round than I am with their 5th round edge pick. But they went back-to-back picks with the edge rusher. The thing about Curry, local guy, comes out of Center Grove High School, went on to play at Ohio State. I just kind of feel like that system, and the Colts have had some guys from Ohio State that have come in and helped them. Um, I would probably say, hey, he's a guy. Whether I think he's ahead of the 5th-round pick over Gooms, I can't say that. But I can say that I'm probably happier with the pick, and I'm hopeful he does work out. But he's not going to be any better than who they've got there now. Just going to come out, be an extra guy that comes to camp. Again, what everybody's been wanting for the Colts is an effective edge rusher, somebody who really goes out there and can get 9, 10, 11 sacks. They haven't had anybody like that, anybody close to that. Now, Curry did have, 11 sacks his senior year at Ohio State. He's one of those guys that takes advantage of good coverage because he is relentless. In other words, you could get him on the initial block. You could even get him on a secondary block, but he is going to continue his pursuit and put in the effort to get after that quarterback. And I love that. I mean, when you read the reports and the scouting reports on him, that's what the Colts, may need, because they're not going to have that guy that's going to fly around the edge and athletically get to the quarterback. They're going to need somebody that just persistent and has the attitude that they're not going to be stopped. And maybe Caden Curry's that guy. But again, don't hold your breath, because it's Chris Ballard trying to find an edge rusher, and we've given him that assignment for 8 years, and so far he still hasn't turned in a paper. So,
yeah, just need to do better at the position overall. Like you said, I do like Curry a little bit more than Gum, but I just don't ever know if he's going to be, like a high sack kind of player. I think maybe best case scenario, he might log maybe like 30% of the snaps. Worst case scenario, he might be a depth piece. But as of right now, it kind of just seems like they're coming on both of them as depth pieces at the edge position, which, again, uninspiring, not inspired.
And then in the 7th round, the Colts ended up with 2 picks because of a couple moves they made during the course of the third day. Seth McGowan was the first guy they took, and it was very interesting because one thing that I believe it was an IHSAA, I don't say ultimatum, but I don't think IHSAA liked taking guys that had baggage. And the first pick of the 7th round has plenty of baggage. He's got an aggravated assault charge and some other things on his record from when he was, I think, a freshman in college. Even though he may be clean and turned it around, that's still something for consideration. But it's not a guy the Colts have generally taken. It's a running back, which I'm like, I don't know what you get in a running back in the 7th round, but Seth McGowan from Kentucky, 6 foot, 223. And then a pick that I like for a 7th round pick, because he put up some really good numbers, comp numbers at the combine. And, all of the details of what types of routes does he run? Is he a skilled route runner? Does he have great hands or whatever? But when you're talking about jumping, running, and all of the combine stats, he was really good, and he made a name for himself. I think the biggest knock, and one reason why teams maybe were hesitant, he's a 5'9", 180-pound receiver. And generally, that's a guy that's going to be in the slot, but he's performed much better on the outside. He's not much in run support as far as providing any kind of run blocking. He pretty much gets steamrolled. He's not very big. But there's been some pretty good smaller receivers that have found their way through the NFL. And so he's 5'9", 180. Maybe he finds a place in the return game. Maybe he finds, a place if they could develop him into a slot. I don't know what they're looking for with him, but I did think, as far as 7th round pick goes, because normally 7th round picks are just the guys you look at and think, man, it is such a long shot for them to even make the team. And I'm like, this guy, he's fast. He got some really good grades at the combine, and I'm like, and apparently he performed well in a lot of the stuff he did at the combine. And I'm like, hey, why not give him a shot? 7th-round pick, go ahead, take him. I'm fine with it. I'm not going to give Chris Ballard an A, but this is, for a 7th-round pick, this is a B grade pick. Okay, I'm okay with it, and I'm above average with it. So I'll go ahead and take Deion Burks, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned possibly getting him in the return game, because one of the reasons scouts did like him was his yards after catch. A lot of times it's you can get a short, quick pass to him, and then he can make defenders miss with his shiftiness and able to cut in different directions once he's caught the ball. So if you were able to apply that shiftiness and ability to avoid defenders after catching the ball to a return game, that could be something to keep an eye on, definitely. So yeah, I don't hate that pick either.
All right, so give us your thoughts on the Colts draft. You can do that by commenting. And I've got comments open, and it's the same cast of characters. It's Ryan Eaton, it's Rick, Justin. I mean, we got to have some new people making some comments. Give us your thoughts on what kind of a grade would you give Chris Ballard? Did the Colts take anybody that you were really excited about? What was your feeling after seeing the 7 rounds done in the Colts draft hall? Were you excited? Are you anxious for next year? Did the Colts get better, or did they just kind of go status quo and try to plug some holes? To me, that's kind of my feeling. Colts are status quo. They're filling some holes, maybe more beneficial next year or the year after. And maybe out of this group, they might have 3 that stick. It's not going to be, I just don't see this as being guaranteed guys that are going to make the roster. I see about 3 of them. I mean, we know C.J. Allen's going to have to make the roster, but Halsey, obviously at safety, has a real shot. Farmer, I think he's going to have to earn it. Betcher, I think, might initially be a mix for a rotational linebacker, but maybe, he can earn a spot on the roster with special teams. But after that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they've got, but we'll see. But leave us a comment. And also, while you're watching, make sure if you haven't already that you subscribe to the channel. We always want new subscribers. And make sure you share the channel so we can pick up maybe some more people that can enjoy us on Sundays and check out our shorts, which we usually post Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday. All right. Did something new last night, Adam. First game this year. Went to the Coliseum and checked out the Komets.
Oh, man. What a time to check them out, too.
And like I have a tendency to do, I can wait all season. I can go and see them once, and then I can tell you exactly what I think about this hockey team. They don't have to show me a big sample because I can nail it really quickly. Not really. But the first period, if you use the first period to judge this hockey team, you're thinking, how the heck did they win the division? They came out in that first period, looked like they believed they could just go through some motions and beat Indy after beating them 3-0. And it's like, we're just going to let our goalie win this game. They were slow to the puck. They were getting beat on 50-50 plays every single time. There was no physicality, no checks. Their puck handling was horrible. I mean, it was just a really ugly period of hockey in the first period. Fortunately, I don't know if Coach Jesse got on them a little bit or if they got on each other. I'm not sure what happened in the locker room, but they came out in the second period, played a different style of hockey. And they took it to Indy and got Indy on their heels and got a couple of power play goals, got a couple of other goals. All of a sudden, they went up 4-2 and game over. The Komets ended up winning it. Actually, they were up 3-1 for a long time. Then it was 4-1, finished 5-1. But no, a great win after a 3-0 win in the first game, a 5-1 win in the second game. And so the Komets have outscored Indy 8-1 in the 2 games so far in this series. And Nathan Day, we didn't know if he would be the goalie or if the other guy, Janssen, if he was going to be the goalie. Wasn't sure who was going to be the starting goalie, because you always feel like when you go to the playoffs, you got to have a number one goalie. There's one guy that's going to lead you to the cup. This team has not been that all year long, and I don't think they're going to change that. But you got to go with the hot hand. And Day had 30 saves in the shutout on Friday, so he gets the call on Saturday and has another really stellar performance. The goal that he gave up was no fault of his. It was a defenseman that, again, slow on their feet, because that's what the Komets were in the first period. A defenseman that just didn't get his feet going and get back, and a guy skated right around him, got in on Day all alone, and gave him a little deke and put the puck in the net. Not really Day's fault. So he was outstanding. I mean, he's just, he's seeing the puck. You can tell he's seeing the puck. He's reading the angles well. Outstanding goaltending play. And if you can get that in the playoffs, you got a chance to go far. And the Komets got that over the weekend, and then just added some goals and got a nice win. So by one game, they won 5-1. I think the Komets are definitely Kelly Cup contenders.
No question, they're Kelly Cup contenders, and right now they're currently handling business as they should. This is an Indy Fuel team that kind of barely snuck into the playoffs right at the end of the season. Definitely not on the same caliber as the Fort Wayne Komets, but as you said, like in the first period, you still can't play with your food. Got to handle business, and I think after the first period, they were woken back up and ready to handle that business. I think they'll continue that against the Fuel down in Indianapolis in their next game, and should be the Walleye in the next series, so that should be fun.
You know what's funny is this Komets team, is historically one of the best road teams ever.
Yeah.
In Komets history. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Komets history. They've been unbelievable on the road. Played really good hockey away from Fort Wayne.
And
so going a short trip's not going to matter.
No, I was going to say part of that was because they were on the road for, a good portion to the start of the season, too. I mean, they had no other option but to play on the road because the Coliseum home ice was still under renovation. So
yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I just was thinking about that, and it's just they were road tested from the start because that's the only place they could play was on the road.
I think they'll at least gain a split in the games against Indy. They're not going to, you always say that the series doesn't start until the road team wins.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Komets took care of business. And if you're Indy, you're saying, fine, they protected their home ice. We just have to win one of 4 in Fort Wayne, and we didn't get one of the first 2. So we still got 2 shots at getting that road win. But Indy has to think, we get them at home now. We just got to protect our home ice and even this series up and send it to Game 5 a week from today in Fort Wayne, tied at 2. But kind of an odd schedule. They play Tuesday and Wednesday down in Fishers. Then they don't play until Sunday. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all off. And you're missing a couple of big attendance days in Friday and Saturday. So I thought, what's going on that forced the Komets into this schedule? You know what it is, Adam?
What's up? What's going on at the Coliseum?
St. Francis commencement.
Hey, yeah, you got to give the kids a chance to walk the stage, get their diplomas.
They're graduating, and it's that season. They're graduating on Saturday. And I don't know if that means that they get the arena Friday night for rehearsal or anything like that. I don't know what. I just know publicly it's posted as an event on Saturday. If they weren't using the arena and you could convert it for what St. Francis needs between the Komet game Friday and Saturday, I would have liked to have seen the Komets play Friday night. But they will play Sunday in Game 5 should Indy managed to get a win in these next 2 games. But no, there's plenty of talent out there with the Komets, and it's kind of fun to see them get going. And I'll tell you this, their power play is completely different from what it used to be under prior coaches. and it's kind of unique. They run too high, they run too in front of the net. There's a lot of different things they're doing. I thought they cause real havoc in front of the net, and the Komets scored twice on the power play because they have guys camped out right in front of the goalie, and Indy couldn't move them, and they had a defenseman. In fact, the defenseman scored 2 goals on those type of situations where they just send it to the net from up by the blue line, and the goalie never has a clue that the puck's coming or can't see it when it gets there. So, good win for the Komets. Okay, so before we talk about the NBA, because I was trying to see, it looked like San Antonio was taking care of business. So
yeah, all good there.
But before we get there, let's talk about the big news from the IHSAA and what's coming up this week, or in another, I guess it's another week, but it's on the slate to be discussed by the IHSAA. 2 things. Number 1, shot clock. Number 2, NIL for IHSAA athletes. What that means is that high school athletes could still remain eligible if they receive NIL benefits while they're playing high school ball. So if you get a superstar stud and that superstar can get a deal with the local bookstore and get paid for it, okay, they would be able to do that, still maintain high school eligibility. And so they're going to be voting on that. And I don't have a problem with it if it's true NIL. The problem is if you open that can, sometimes you get a little bit, it's like opening the can. What the colleges did, they opened the can that said NIL. When they opened it, one of those snakes popped out and everything went all crazy, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like, okay, now who's going to put that snake that just came flying out of there and get it back stuffed into the can? Because that's the problem they've got. They said, yes, let's do it. And then they found out they have no control over it. And one little thing that they thought they were allowing was money for athletes to be reimbursed for jersey sales. That's really where it all started. Has become the pay for play, and it's become money to recruit athletes. I mean, that's ultimately it's signing athletes like they're free agents. Again, Rick, yeah, I know it's out of control in the NCAA, but the schools don't have the money to be paying the athletes in high school. Now, if they have boosters that want to set up with the teams and provide donations and stuff, but we'll see where it goes. It at least is going to be discussed and voted on. What's funny is I'm probably on the wrong side of both of these issues, okay? Because I believe if a high school athlete is a big enough star that he has marketing impact and that he actually truly can sell products by promoting them, I'm like, yeah, he maybe he should do it. And if it becomes a package where it's part of the sponsorship of one of the boosters of a school, providing not only some money for the athlete, but money for the school as well, I know that I'd like to see our schools all doing well and making more money in their athletic programs. And so let's make it a win for everybody. That's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking high school NIL. I am not thinking what's going on in the NCAA and that high schools who now that you've got the open transfer, that high schools are going to use this money to go recruit athletes and, because those budgets, the high school budgets don't have the kind of money that some of the colleges have. I say some of the colleges. There's some D1 programs that are still sitting at about the high school level. But, so it's not going to get out of control like it does in the NCAA. I can't imagine that.
No.
But
it's interesting. And I was reading a little bit about it, and it's kind of interesting. They were saying that under the proposal, an athlete could utilize their NIL as long as they aren't depicting any affiliation with the member school. And it gave an example: an athlete could represent a sporting goods company that sells athletic apparel as long as they do not represent the school. So it's almost like you kind of have to separate yourself a little bit from the member institutions a little bit more. And I believe Paul Neidig also said he wants to make sure that there isn't the existence of collectives. He doesn't want there to be, an NIL collective.
No, you're not going to try to fundraise to bring in money to help pay for recruits. Okay, so I might be on the wrong side of that based on the feedback we're getting. But the other thing I know I'm on the wrong side of, but I don't care because I absolutely believe that there is no need to add a shot clock to high school basketball. I think we're looking at that rare instance that has come up in high school basketball games that goes viral on social media. How many? I mean, you don't post on social media the games that end 58-45 and no one held the ball. Nobody does it. Nobody cares. But as soon as somebody puts the ball on their hip, all hell breaks loose on social media, and everybody's saying this is exactly why we need a shot clock in high school basketball. And it's like, be careful what you wish for. Really, truly, be careful what you wish for, because when you're talking about a shot clock, number one, who's going to be trained to be able to keep up with the shot clock? Did it or did it not hit the rim? Is it an offensive rebound, defensive rebound? What's the reset? Was there a possession exchange or not a possession exchange? If a guy goes to steal the ball, at what point is possession actually switched? So you have to flip the shot clock and reset. You've got all of that going on. It's like being almost a trained official, and you don't have those people just sitting on the sideline saying, man, if they ever opened up a job for a shot clock operator, I'm ready. You don't. You got to find them. And I'm not sure that every Hanover Heights, I don't even know if that's a school, but the example I'm giving is that these small schools, do they have enough people and people that are prepared, trained, and able to run shot clocks for varsity games, for JV games, for freshman games? You were freezing, Adam, and you had this goofy smile on your face for about 10 seconds. So now you're frozen without one. I don't know what's going on with your internet, but there for a while I thought, why are you giving me that goofy smile? And then I realized your computer had froze, and that was the face we got. But my point is the shot clock, number one, is going to require an operator that knows what the heck they're doing. Number two, $8 to $10 grand coming out of every school to install shot clocks. And that may not even be it. If you've got multiple gyms or multiple home places that you play, so in other words, maybe there's a freshman gym, you're going to have to put shot clocks in there too. And if you have to put shot clocks in there, double the price. And find another person that's going to be able to run your shot clock. It's going to add to the expenses that are incurred with every night of basketball. And that means 20-some games of varsity, 20-some games of JV, and 18 games of freshmen. A lot of schools are going to be forking over quite a bit more money than what they're currently putting in the budget to cover the cost of operating a high school basketball game. And then the other thing, you think the amount of times we have teams put it on the hip is bad for the fans. How many times do you think officials are going to have to blow their whistle, stop the game, go over, discuss it with the scorer's table, discuss it amongst themselves? Remember, it's not replay. So it's not like they can go to a video and say, definitely did not hit the rim. So how many times are the games going to be stopped so everybody can have their say and determine what's right, what's wrong. It adds another delay element into the game. No one wants to break up the flow. And you're going to have some shot clock operators that are bad. They're just not good. I mean, I see it in high school games. I'm not going to call any schools out, but I've been to schools before where they're a little slow to get things on the board, or they have made mistakes with the score and have to be corrected during the next time out. Not everybody's perfect, and I don't expect them to be. But being a shot clock operator is going to be a difficult position to be in, because in some ways you're enforcing a rule. You're not just tallying total points and stuff or responding to a whistle. You're actually having to determine, make judgment calls that are part of the game, like you're an official. Did it hit the rim? Was there a possession change? Was there not a possession change? To me, there are not enough possessions that last that long. The other thing is, I don't want teams that are disciplined, fundamental teams to be rushed to try to execute offense, and then you see bad offense. I don't want to see bad basketball because they're being pressured to play bad basketball. I want to see the most fundamental play I can see when I'm watching high school basketball. And we all know there's certain coaches that coach a much more disciplined style than other coaches. That's what, I mean, you look at the scores on a Friday night, and there's some scores that are 42-38. There's some scores that are 75-69. There's different styles. To me, you're more likely as you get into 4A to have the type of basketball being played with the type of athletes that it's okay to speed them up. But I think in class 1A or 2A, there's a lot of teams where you're better served if the whole point is it's an extracurricular activity that the kids play for fun. You're better served not to try to change the style of some of those teams and to let those kids play basketball in the fundamental way that it's intended. And if they do play a team that's faster or stronger or whatever, one of the neutralizers is if they play slow, they keep the game closer. It's a strategy, and you're taking a strategy away that could help coaches win. Again, handful of games every year where you have somebody putting it on their hip. And what happened to the old rule? Here's the other thing that bothers me with this. What happened to the old rule that the team that's behind has to force the action? Where you got to come out and you got to guard somebody. Or you got to, you can't hold the ball at midcourt. You got to run your offense. They used to come out and they used to signal to you. You couldn't hold it for 5 or 10 seconds out at midcourt. And what happened to that? They stopped it. Let's go back to that rule because to me, if you're the defensive team and you want to get ticked about an opponent that's holding the ball on their hip, go guard them. Go double team the guy that's trying to hold the ball. And guess what he won't do? He won't keep holding the ball. They might play keep away, but that's a lot more fun to keep an eye on because it puts pressure on the team to not make a mistake when they're trying to play keep away. Bottom line, I don't want a shot clock, period.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so even if someone came up to you and said, hey, we could implement these with no cost to the school, we would have somebody ready to operate the shot clock at every single game with no issue, you would still say, no, I still care too much about the game. I don't want the game to change.
You're making a point. Now, if that was on the table, that's fine. You're changing the whole rules. But I think that if you are thinking of approving it, and you can cover all of the things I just said, and all you're left with is style of play, then I think if you're going to implement it, only implement it in 3A and 4A, and maybe even just 4A. But 3A plays 4A in a lot of conferences and stuff, and so it'd be easier just to say 3A, 4A, you play it, 1A, 2A doesn't, and if you have a 1A or 2A team involved in a game, and they're playing a 3A or 4A, there's no shot clock. So it's only 3A versus 3A or 4A, 4A versus 3A or 4A. Those games, you could implement it. I'm fine with that too. Let's try it with the bigger schools. They're going to be the ones probably more likely to be able to afford it, more likely to have a bigger staff, and therefore more people that might be able to run the clock. And if like you said, Ed, if you're going to get all these donated and you're going to get clocks everywhere and it's not going to cost you anything, I don't think that's true, but hey, all right.
I don't either, yeah.
I'll go with your argument. You want to give me a for instance that all these clocks just appeared out of nowhere and they're all installed and they're all ready to go. I'd say, okay, 3A, 4A. And, that's fine. But you don't need it for everybody. It just, I just think it's too much change to the game and it's not necessary.
Yeah, that was just a pure hypothetical, just to see what your stance would be on it without having all those other hurdles for the shot clock. But as of right now, it is a huge hurdle for a good majority of schools and their programs. But if it doesn't get voted on this year, I think they expect them to bring it up again in another 2 years. So
the more talent you have, Adam, whether it's college, pro, or high school, the more talent you have, the faster you can play. You can handle the ball faster, you can pass it faster, you can shoot it faster. You can play faster the more talent that you have. That's why the NBA was first one with the shot clock, right? Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate highest level of talent, and it's like, hey, these guys can play fast. They don't need 45 seconds, 50 seconds. They can run a possession and get a shot in 24 seconds. And then college says, whoa, that's a little fast for us.
Slow your roll.
Yeah, we need to slow it down a little bit. We got to be able to execute a screen and roll and on a back screen and so they went with 30. And high school, I know the talk 35 or 40 is kind of the common talk from what I've been hearing, but the point is that's why I say 3A and 4A, because generally the players that can play at a faster pace and not get careless where the turnovers increase dramatically and the level of play is not nearly as good. Because I don't want to see a bunch of late shot clock shots, that are bad shots, that are, the kids are taking fadeaway threes all the time, trying to be a hero and make it on SportsCenter. And that's what I'm worried about. You got the countdown clock now at the end of quarters and at the half and at the end of the game. I see enough of the guys that are going to hold the ball, dribble it around, and then take a fadeaway three that's totally unnecessary. But they're going to do it because they want to hit that buzzer beater, that big 3-point shot at the buzzer. Man, at the end of the shot clock, think how many times you're going to have a guy dribble around and take the greatest fadeaway three that might not draw iron. And you'll see that 4 or 5 times a game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will change things should it be implemented. But for your sake, I'll keep my fingers crossed you get at least another 2 years, no shot clock.
So we got to talk NBA playoffs. Minnesota is up 3-1 against Denver, but can Minnesota win another game?
That's the question. They lose both Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo in one game. They still win to take that 3-1 lead, but now it's a question of can Denver win 3 in a row against a battered Minnesota team.
And 2 of the 3, I think, are going to be in Denver, won't they?
I believe so. I believe, 5 and 6 are in Denver.
5 and 7 are in Denver, and 6 is back in Minnesota.
Yep, correct. My bad.
Yeah, so all that Denver would need is go get a home win, get 1 win on the road, and then go back in a game 7 with Minnesota playing without 2 of their better players and let the chips fall where they may. How about the Lakers? How about that 41-year-old?
The old LeBron James taking a 3-0 lead with his kid in tow, throwing a lob to Bronny James. I wish he had, fully finished with the dunk instead of laying it in on that lob.
Yeah, he went with the little under and reverse layup. He didn't actually
slam it
give
down.
the full oop. By the way, does this validate another year of LeBron, or is this a great way to put the cap on what's been a terrific career?
For me, it just kind of shows he's able to keep playing at a high level. So I would imagine he's going to keep going. Also, I don't know if they're going to win the next round after beating the Rockets. So I don't know if a second round exit is high enough and mighty enough, especially when he's still putting up these kind of stats. I feel like he wants to get to another finals, but we'll see. We'll see.
Obviously, the Rockets dealing with injuries as well, and so it's not the regular Houston Rockets lineup. And
Right.
but you have to give credit to the Lakers because I mean they don't
They
have everybody either.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they don't have their regular lineup on the court as well. But yeah, Kevin Durant just
I mean, no Luca. So you take Durant and you take Luca. This could have been a much different series with those guys, right?
right. Yeah, Durant was only able to play game 2 and didn't look great, and he's been out since, and he's gonna be out again tonight. So chance for the Lakers to sweep things in Houston tonight on NBC.
All right. What's your biggest storyline? Do you have a storyline other than the Knicks?
Other than the Knicks, the Detroit Pistons are currently down 2-1 in their series to the Orlando Magic. I wouldn't have given you that one, especially the way Orlando limped into the play-ins and then playoffs. They had a poor end to their regular season, losing to the Celtics G League team basically to send them to the play-in, and then they had to fight their way through the play-in. But now they're up 2-1 on the number 1 seeded Detroit Pistons.
By the way, my picks are doing just fine. Oklahoma
Nice.
City and Boston.
Yep, they're fine.
Celtics have a chance to go 3-1 on Philly tonight at 7 o'clock. And as you mentioned, the Lakers, Houston, with the Lakers a chance to wrap up the series with a 4-0 sweep. That game will tip after Boston and Philly. Did we get it all? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say it was announced Joel Embiid will be playing for Philadelphia tonight. So that'll be something to look out for as the Celtics look to take a commanding series lead, see if Philly can throw a punch there with Embiid back in.
All right. So I think we've got everything covered.
Yeah, no, I think we've pretty much crushed it. I think we've hit on all of our major topics.
Komets, TinCaps, high school. I mean, the only thing I had on my list was Portal. But we've talked Portal like 4 weeks in a row, and yet there's new news every week with the Portal. I mean, there's always something new. I will say this: Ball State's had a really good year under their first-year coach, but they bought that year. They're giving him $1 million to play with. That goes a long way as a mid-major. And he's got like 9 players that I think it's 9, that might be 10 now, that he has got committed. Just picked up another big guy Friday night. So he has spent it well, and that's what he told us on the Sports Rush when he came and joined my show. It was a special night, special edition Sports Rush, but he said, I'm being handed the money, and I'm going to spend it wisely. I'm going to be a really good general manager he makes data-driven decisions and how I spend it. And he's put together a heck of a roster. So, you know, it's easier to do when you have $1 million versus having 150,000 or 200,000, which most mid-majors are probably trying to scrape by with. But Ball State has had a good year. So,
yeah,
of note.
Other than that, I think it's just worth mentioning that IU had a program record 8 players drafted in the NFL draft.
Started with number 1.
Yep, Fernando Mendoza, number 1, and then you've got Omar Cooper going to the Jets with the 30th pick, and then Elijah Surratt to the Ravens, and a whole lot more. So
D'Angelo Pons was next on the list. He went early in the second round, I believe, and then you guys said Surratt, Coogan, and some others. The only guy I wish would have been drafted was Aiden Fisher, because, man, that dude's a football player, and I don't think he ever had his name called.
No, but hopefully he can land as a unsigned free or undrafted free agent with a team.
Just one of those guys. To me, he's a football player. He's not going to test well. He's not going to measure well. But some guys just have a knack for how the game is played, and they have instincts that are immeasurable. And I would love to see the Colts jump on him. it's Colts have a need for linebacker. Come on, bring him in, give him a shot, right?
Why not?
Give him a shot. Put him
Indiana
up against
Connection.
Betcher and see who wins the spot.
Why not? Why not do it? I mean, they've got the means to make it happen as an unsigned free agent or undrafted free agent. So, yeah, that'd be cool. So, yeah, good stuff for the Indiana football program. Another notch in the belt there for Cignetti, a program record for NFL draft picks.
And once again, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the channel, share it with your friends, and be sure you click on those shorts and watch those as well. We post them through the week. Logsworth just corrected me. Texans drafted Fisher. I missed that one. I was trying to follow along. Texans drafted. Doggone it.
Not the Texans. He's going
in the division. Yeah.
AFC South.
Not a divisional opponent.
Yeah.
Man. I'm glad for him, but it hurts that it's in the division.
Thanks for that, Rick. Appreciate you. But, that does suck, man.
Get me corrected before we wrap it up. I like that. I need to be corrected occasionally. Only when I'm wrong. I only need to be correct. I don't need to be corrected when I'm right, and you people just don't agree with me. It was the 7th round. That's why I didn't see it.
There you go.
Because I was trying to follow it, and once it got into 7th round, it was happening so fast, I kind of turned it off. And the thing that sucks about that is if he'd have gotten through the 7th round, the Colts could have signed him as a undrafted free agent. And sometimes players are better off waiting and being an undrafted free agent. Because then they can pick and choose where they go. They can look at the rosters and have more control over the decision. All right, we'll wrap it up. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in. Have a great week, Adam, and we'll be back at you next week.